Creativity takes a lot of work. When looking at musicians, you must write, perform, edit, and promote yourself, which only scratches the surface of what you all need to do. It can take a toll mentally and physically, leading to burnout, which is why finding balance is vital for the process. With festivals, events, and new music, Vivek Mehmi, an Ontario musician, is always working on that balance.
Thanks, Ryan. Always a pleasure, like you said. So my name is Vivek Mehmi. I'm a hip hop artist, but I fuse different genres, different modalities primarily, and I'm an artist on a healing journey. I've gone through an intense health crisis and even still working on it to this day, 8 years deep. But what it has done for me, it has allowed me to connect with more intimate parts of myself and become more compassionate. Like Ryan mentioned, just connecting more with the community and bringing awareness to health, infusing that with art and pushing that forward through different organizations. My own organization, Humble and Hungry. We work with amazing organizations here in Mississauga, like the Mississauga Arts Council, the City of Mississauga. I'm on the member advisory committee for Workman Arts, which is a fantastic organization, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more. And yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I just love to heal through art and heal through music and share my story and help people awaken and help people become more aware of themselves, their passions, their ability to heal and help others heal. So there we are.
Yeah, and I think what you're doing is more important than ever. As, you know, we're continuing to see people struggling on their own mental health journeys. So seeing someone else who, experiences challenges, but overcoming them, working through them, talking about them, I think it is an inspiration for people to see, you know what? It isn't just all over for me. I can still build a life for myself and achieve my dreams.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the biggest thing is like sometimes when you're in the lowest part, it's hard to want to be out there in the community. And we talked about it before, social media paints that picture of, you need to be doing this for your art or your work. And if you're not on that level, you can't accomplish things. But that's why it's even more important to have these authentic conversations and find people who can relate. So that's where we're at. And yeah, it's been amazing and some really big steps since we talked last.
In our last conversation, it was right before you were heading to Mindfest. So why don't you tell me a little bit about how that went and a little bit about what Mindfest is?
So Mindfest is an annual mental health, I guess they call it a fair, but basically they have different panelists that come from different parts of the community. So this year someone was doing like Qigong, and then they had, it's put on by the Department of Psychology, Psychiatry from the University of Toronto. So a lot of the people who are leading the conversations and sessions are academics, and they try to include someone with lived experience and someone that can relate to younger audiences, because a lot of the people that came were from high school. But it was funny because I really put together a really nice presentation and it really helped me to kind of go through everything that I've been through and just bring together my story again in a nice format, in a shareable way, which is great because now I can do that in different talks, and I have to another session. But before the session started, it was like this big empty hall, beautiful hall at U of T. It's called Hart House. Not sure if you're familiar with it. Very historic building, amazing academics and events get put on there. It kind of reminds you of like a Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, that kind of old style Canadian architecture.
I was just in awe being in the space and honored to be able to speak there. And I remember like putting in so much work, and then moments before, like a couple minutes, it was just me and like maybe like 10 people. But then I promise you, like, and I got the words like, hey, can you just hold on for a sec? Like we've got like a whole bunch of people coming. I was like, oh, okay, maybe it'll be like another 5 people or something, whatever. All of a sudden, like the floodgates open and it's just like a full, I guess it must have been a couple classes of high school students and
Wow.
like yeah, like 75, 80 people, which was like filled the place up pretty much.
Definitely.
That really, I mean, as a performer, as an artist who loves that stage, it really ignited me. And that gave me the fuel to push on and deliver this amazing talk. That was the event. I got a chance to meet some
Mhm.
of the other organizations. I mentioned Workman Arts. They were the ones that provided the opportunity for me to speak, because they work with in conjunction with a lot of organizations here in Toronto. So there was a fair, and I got to meet some other amazing organizations doing work in the mental health field as well.
Not only are you going to this really cool old kind of historic building, so that's an experience in itself, but you get to go and give presentations to these students.
I played some of my music, which was cool, and I think it bridged the gap. I mean, a lot of the high school students, I mean, I know I'm not their brand of hip hop per se, but it was still probably something they could relate to more so than if it was just a pure academic talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it wasn't the genre of, like the direct genre, at least it's kind of relatable. So, at least they have one ear open versus
Exactly.
completely being shut out, right? So I think it's being able to try new ways of connecting with people, new ways of connecting with the youth, to bridge that gap. And I've been with my latest couple releases and things. I've even got another song coming out next week. So I've been
Fantastic.
busy. Yeah, I've been busy with a lot of that kind of pushing my art forward is more about trying to help people awaken and trying to help people become aware of some of the systems and governing bodies and things like that.
What you're touching on is an important thing to recognize when you're like wanting to give a presentation, that it can't just be how it's been done traditionally. People have changed, people's attention spans have changed. That's a whole conversation in and of itself, but you need to be able to adjust. You have to be adaptable to be able to get that information out, whether that is, playing music, giving a performance, trying to present things in a more creative way to get that information across is important. How many people go to an important lecture or a class or something and it's just an incredibly dry, monotone, just garble of information. And, that can be hard to process. Everyone has different learning habits and learning abilities. And sometimes in academics, they have to be able to find that balance and find that flexibility.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, I think one of the things too is uh, uh just trying to speak about what you know, right? I know my story so well, so why not just dive into it, be vulnerable, push it out, and then just kind of show how it can be applied in other people's lives. Don't push the agenda where like you have to do this, but just give a picture of what's possible, right? And hopefully it inspires. And I got a lot of great feedback after that
Mm-hmm.
event. I think it was a really, really great success. And I look forward to more opportunities for that, because it comes natural to me to
Of
engage with
course.
people, So
The few conversations we've had is your authenticity when talking about things. You're open, you're not afraid to talk about the struggles and challenges that you've had. And I think, especially for youth, they need that vulnerability in order to connect with someone. How many times do you hear those or like those stories when someone comes down to the high school and they're just kind of like telling you what they think you need to hear, instead of just being open, vulnerable, and just letting people to absorb that moment?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just as we were talking before, I told you today I've got some inflammation. I'm not feeling my best. There's been a lot of transformative energies that have just like I've been feeling them, and I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed a bit, you know, and it's just something that by stating that it already feels inside. Okay, now I know I don't have these expectations on me. We can just proceed in a natural way where they see me for where I'm at. And it also helps to connect with awesome people like you, Ryan.
Appreciate it.
You know, and surround yourself with people that get that you know, you might not always be at your best, but you're trying your best. And that's the most important.
And so you mentioned another song on the way. So like since we last talked, that'll be like 3 new songs. What is it? Find My Own Way that you released back in May, and Garage Sale that came out just a little while ago. So how about we talk about those past releases and this upcoming one, and just a little bit about the process and things you've been thinking about to put into these different pieces.
Those first 2 tracks you mentioned, so Find My Own Way, I think I released just after our last talk, and I released it just after Mindfest. Originally, I was going to do, you might recall, I was working on the Relationships EP, putting things out. And I am going to...
Great music video, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to be... And speaking of that, listeners, and I'll send you the link too. I've got an alternate music video to the Around Your Finger, that I'm going to be releasing in December, but kind of as a way to engage, build up some of my socials, my YouTube numbers. If people follow me or subscribe to my newsletter, I'm going to give them early access to the Around Your Finger alternate music video, which is really, it's a unique piece. So if you think about it, I'll just give you a little taste because you're my boy, Ryan. So it's like everything was done on green screen for the Around Your Finger, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically, you might have seen some of these other artists who do these behind the scenes takes. So it's one full take of the music video, me against the green screen, but like the videographer is going through the whole set, seeing all the other people who are involved there. Like there's a screen there, so you see the set, you see me, and it's a cool.
That's fun.
So it's for the fans, it's for people. But getting back to your question, I took a break from releasing Relationships just because I was again overwhelmed and feeling a lot.
Hey, sometimes that happens.
The cool thing about being an independent artist, Ryan, is like if I'm saying, okay, wait, this project that I know I'm on schedule releasing it's got its place. Again, coming back to that authenticity and vulnerability, I told everyone on my socials and stuff, it's like, okay, I'm actually feeling some things about my intimate relationships. I think it's actually going to benefit the project in the whole at the end of it, because I have a couple more tracks that I'm rolling out, but I need some space to just kind of let this unfold and focus my energy on other projects. And I was also seeing that, again, the way things were happening in the world, I wanted to, and when I feel that kind of sense of within me, it's hip hop is more of that kind of advocating, more intense, kind of delivering a message that way. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Relationships is a little bit more experimental, and it's nice and gentle in a lot more ways. When you want to deliver a message, you kind of make a stand, right? If you think about hip hop and from the old school days, it's about kind of making a stand, voicing the hardships that people felt, you know, social, economic, political kind of views, and just being like, so there's that element, that revolutionary kind of feel. So I was like, okay, I'm feeling these things. I need to communicate them in hip hop. And that's where Find My Own Way came from, is trying to tell people you can find your own way amongst all, whether it's health or outside forces trying to push on you. And that's an extension of another song like Rubik's Cube, but it's more updated, more current. And then Garage Sale takes that even further. During this pandemic, I've seen a lot of people question not just my beliefs, but people. So I chose not to get vaccinated. I got a lot of pushback from people, and even in my closest circle, I saw effects that the vaccines had on people. Not saying one way is right or one way is wrong. My belief always is tune into yourself, tune into your body, tune into what feels right for you, and that's how you should come up with your decision.
Yeah, it became a very divisive and politicized topic.
And so that's where it started. That's where garage sale started, is from that, oh, you have to do this way, mandates. And then it kind of turned into this anti-capitalistic kind of thing. It kind of grew from there. And then combining elements of Find My Own Way and Rubik's Cube, where it's kind of about helping people awaken and learning that you can make decisions for yourself. Just be aware where you're putting your energy, who you're giving your energy, what are your beliefs around what it is you want to attract, how you want to live your life. Nothing is, like I said, nothing is right or wrong. It's about becoming more certain and authentic and real with your own experience. So yeah, that's where it started in garage sale. Some people are saying that's one of my best songs yet, just because, where everything was very personal, my songs, that one's a little bit more applicable and more widespreading. And even in the music video, it's super trippy and wild, but it has themes that spread out a little bit more than anything else I've done,
And just taking an overview of what you've been talking about there, about the creative process, I think it's for a lot of people who are trying to explore creative ideas or hobbies or things. As you're mentioning, you weren't necessarily feeling a tug for the relationships at the time, deciding to take a step back to pursue something else that you're feeling very passionate about. I think that's incredibly important for people in the creative fields or people trying to explore a creative aspect of themselves, to allow yourself to take that step back. Of course, being an independent really helps with that. If you're under a label or something, sometimes deadlines and things, you're kind of stuck with there. But, if you're trying out something for the first time or you're exploring a new hobby, like, it's okay to feel dispassionate about something for a moment and take a break and try something new. You never know when creativity will come back.
Absolutely. I think it's about trying different things, right? As you said, being an independent, I can try different things, and I never try to limit myself from that standpoint. So that's the cool thing about those two tracks. And then I was kind of brewing on, well, I had a goal, and you do want to keep mind of your goals. You don't want to just be too loosey-goosey.
Yes, there's a good balance there.
Kind of find that sweet spot. For instance, which is a great, segue to this next track, is I had a goal this year that I wanted to put out 4 songs, right? If I had my way, I would have done it 6 songs, but I also produced a festival in there, and I did that Mindfest talk. So I was busy this year, so I wanted to put out the four tracks. And, I hear things about, especially in terms of algorithmic things and getting in feeds, and you want to be consistent as much as you can with your release. Again, I have health blips that come up here and there, that trumps everything. But at the end of the day, so I was like, okay, I have 4 songs that I want to do. Garage Sale came out late October. That gave me a window. I was like, well, I don't want to release anything around Christmas time, because I'm not a Christmas music kind of, like, bless everyone who is, but I don't.
And you're competing with so much at that time for people's attention.
Exactly. Like, I'm just like, okay, so I had a window. I'm like, I had this song from 2016 that I wrote as soon as I was getting, like, the first time I recovered from, like, the intensity of my first health crisis. And it was just so raw and so energized. And it was like a very, like, something you'd hear in a gym or like a fighting boxing.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I decided to speed it up. I decided to tweak a few things, pitch it up. I got my mixing and mastering guy to do that for me. And I revisited and I was like, oh my gosh, this fits exactly how I'm feeling, how the direction of these other songs. And I'm putting this thing out regardless. And I updated the cover work and cleaned it up. Like I never put it out in 2016. You know, it's a little raw, but at the same time, I think it's amazing. And that's coming out next week on November 23rd. It's called Myself.
Yeah, you were talking, you brought it up a couple of times. The festival, Humble and Hungry Music Festival. What was that experience like, putting that together and kind of creating this event?
You know what? I'm still unpacking it because seriously, it was I wore so many hats. I don't think I'd be able to do that again. And
learned now that, hey, this is too much for one person. And I think that's part of the learning experience. You find out, okay, that's too much responsibility. Maybe in the future, you can split that amongst some other people to make it a little bit easier.
Yeah. And I do have a team who's awesome and they helped as much as they can. They have full-time jobs. So what can you really expect at that point, right? Speaking of which, though, they stepped up day of. Like one of my friends was a host. One of my friends was, helping me load in, load out. Everyone helped with that. So I can't complain about that. There was tons of support and shout outs to all of them. And I do appreciate like the Humble and Hungry team. It's just, I think it's also a bit of my nature to want to control a lot. And so I did the social media, and that for me was the biggest challenge and drain, because not only am I doing Vivek Mehmi's social media, I'm doing Humble and Hungry social media, and it's Humble and Hungry social media every day leading up to the event. So for like 30 days straight. And it's just like, whoa, like what kind of reality am I living in? And so social media, artist booking, partnerships, sponsorships, venues, technicians, like you get where I'm going with it all, right? And so it was amazing. I don't want to detract or take away from the experience, because everyone involved got some healing, whether you're a participant, whether you're a sponsor, partner, everyone got love. That was great. The thing, I think, again, live and learn. It was during a time that there was a lot of competition. Here in Toronto, the CNE was just opening, the Canadian National Exhibition. So it was kind of not as well received or as attended as I would have liked, but I'm not taking away from the fact that it was an amazing experience. Everyone got healing. And it's kind of crazy for me on a personal note. I had some family situations. I had to take a member to the emergency room that day of the day-long festival.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And that happened like last year too. So 3 a.m. and I was completely shot emotionally. I didn't even want to go on stage, but thankfully I had another person who was part of the Humble and Hungry. And like I said, everyone stepped up from Humble and Hungry. And I had an energy healer who's a really close friend of mine, grounded me. We had an emotional crying session. We were both like bawling, and then I was able to do it, man. And I just so thankful, I can't believe I got through it and it happened the way it did. But things happen like that.
Sometimes life just comes in and it punches you in the gut.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to, looking back. I just don't understand how it happened like that. But sometimes forces out of our control, and it challenges you to take your strength to the next level, and challenges you to tap into reserves that you didn't even know you had. And I was pretty much MIA for a month after, because that issue with,
it's just so much of a drain, right?
So I'm kind of reassessing, and it's nice that we're talking about it, because I think, for the foreseeable future, I want to take on a little bit more manageable, get some more collaboration, align with energies and people that understand and can take some of those things off my plate, break it down into nothing. Every time you do something, it doesn't have to be a festival, right? You can have like little breakout rooms. You can have small meet and greets and meetup events. One of the things I've been toying with is kind of trying to bring together artists to do like a songwriting camp or something with,
Ooh.
and then also have a mental health component to it where there's like a sharing circle and being like, because let's be real, if we connect on that emotional level, if we're vulnerable connecting on that level, imagine how much better the art will be. I've got ideas, my friend. So yeah.
Well, yeah, like at that point, the emotions are raw, they're real. You might come to terms or understand something a little better in those moments that you can address. And through that, yeah, the art can take on another level.
Exciting things kind of brewing in my head, but I'm still trying to release things of my own. So it's kind of that balance of what can I feed myself? What can I feed others? Since I have this kind of like going through a bout right now, I just need to kind of honor that. And then as things clear up, as they will in hopefully a couple of weeks, then I can start planning some things. But I've been trying to get out there in the community, checking out other artists, checking out other promoters and event producers, building with them. I just want to feel people's energies and see what's possible.
Vivek, absolute pleasure again connecting with you, talking about you, and learning about your experiences and what's going on. And I think the theme of this episode is clear. It's about finding balance in life and in self.
I think that's a key thing right now, is finding that balance and yeah, just awakening to your own thoughts and feelings and tapping into that. So yeah, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, Ryan, for the opportunity to connect. And I look forward to more and pushing things forward, right?
Of course. Where can people go to find out more about yourself and catch your latest releases?
Yeah, so I'm on all streaming platforms, all social platforms. So it's at Vivek Mehmi, VIVEK MEHMI. And then, of course, vivekmehmi.com is the hub that you can get all the videos, learn about my story. And yeah, I would love to connect with you either through newsletter, social media, or feel free to email me, vivekmehmi@gmail.com. And that's it.
Have any stories you'd like us to share or communities we should highlight? Leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us on our website. I'm Ryan Funk. This was You Talk, and have yourself a good one.